The Suzuki Swift Sport has long been a car embraced by serious drivers who know a great handling hot hatch when they see it. Though not especially powerful, it's agile, responsive and brilliant fun for not a lot of money. Few potential buyers know this, so the idea with this third generation model is to widen its appeal with a smarter interior, lower running costs, a little more grunt and even sharper handling. For all that, it'll still be a well-kept secret in this segment, but one loyal buyers will enjoy hugely.
The Swift Sport formula has never been defined by outright power. What's always mattered more with this model line is light, chuckable agility, something that this third generation car still specialises in, thanks to its featherlight 970 kilo curb weight, which is important if, as we do, you embrace the Colin Chapman mantra that greater power makes you go faster in a straight line, but lighter weight makes you faster everywhere. This Mark III Swift Sport is certainly faster everywhere than its predecessor, but then you'd expect it would be. Now, although the power output on offer, 140 PS, is much the same as that developed by the preceding model, it's kicked out this time around by a 1.4-litre turbocharged Boosterjet engine, which has nearly 50% more torque than the previous 1.6-litre normally aspirated unit. Despite the fact that you can now access the 230 Nm punch much lower down the rev range from just 2,500 RPM, it's not a setup geared towards victorious traffic light Grand Prix style starts. Rest to 62 is unremarkable at 8.1 seconds on the way to 130 miles an hour. In the mid-range, where it really matters though, there's a reason why this car feels a fair bit quicker than those figures suggest, especially when the road gets twisty. Kart-like driving dynamics have always been a major attraction for Swift Sport buyers, and they've been further developed here by a stiffer front suspension system with Monroe shock absorbers front and rear. The sharply responsive variable ratio steering system helps too, plus the beefier brakes inspire confidence, and there's a fruity soundtrack from the specially tuned exhaust, which is all good for those times when you can drive this car as it was designed to be driven. For those times when you can't, the Swift Sport delivers a surprisingly absorbent ride and affordable running costs. 47.1 mpg on the combined cycle and 135 grams per kilometre of CO2 on the WLTP cycle. This car doesn't only show some other affordable small hot hatches how they should drive, it also, for us, offers a good template on how they should look. Muscular shoulders, blacked out A-pillars and what Suzuki calls underspoilers all round deliver a potently understated level of pavement presence, but also a demeanour that's assertive enough to suggest that you might be in for a bit of fun at the wheel. This Mark III Swift Sport is 50mm longer than a standard Swift model, and it sits 15mm lower to the ground than the previous generation version did. A little disappointingly, unlike that old car, there's no longer a three-door body style option, but Suzuki has sought to retain a three-door-like look by hiding the rear door handles in the trailing edge of the C-pillar. Of course, as usual, what's more important is the stuff that you can't see, namely this model's stiff, sophisticated, hard-teched platform. And that's been designed around what Suzuki calls total effective control technology. Now, this uses lots of high-strength steel to make the structure very strong, but also low in weight, which is the main reason why this Swift weighs so little, even by relatively light class standards. Well, you feel this model's lightweight when you slam the driver's door shut, which isn't ideal, but otherwise, by Super Mini standards, the cabin feels quite nice, providing you're not expecting premium quality fittings and acres of slush-moulded soft-touch plastic. You're not paying for that kind of thing here, and you don't get it. What you do get, though, is just enough interior differentiation to make you feel you're in a serious hot hatch. The grippy, branded sports bucket seats are probably the highlight, proving to be supportive and surprisingly comfortable, providing, of course, your frame is narrow enough to fit into them. There is also a set of aluminium pedals, a chrome-accented gear knob with a red-stitched gaiter, and emotive red flashings on the fascia and the centre stack. Right, time to take a seat in the back, and that's accessible via the concealed upper door catch that we mentioned earlier. This car does remain one of the more compact models in the Super Mini hot hatch segment when it comes to rear seat space. Some might even find it a touch claustrophobic back here. Still, thanks to that lengthened wheelbase and to some extra room that's been liberated from the engine compartment, there is now marginally more legroom on offer than there was before. Out back in the boot, we're promised that the benefits of this model's wheelbase increase will be more obvious. And sure enough, the light tailgate raises to reveal a cargo area space which offers 25% more room than was available with the previous generation model. The 265-litre capacity isn't anything like enough to threaten the segment class leaders in this regard, but it is at least enough to get this Suzuki back on a competitive footing. Should you need more room, the rear bench folds in the usual 60-40 split, although it does leave quite a step in the floor once it's flattened forward, at which point a modest 579-litre cargo area is freed up. When we last tested this model back in 2012, we begged Suzuki not to change its simple, uncomplicated formula, but they have, and rather to our surprise, we found ourselves to be rather enamoured by this end result. Need convincing that power isn't everything in a performance car? Well, if so, you need to drive this one. We guarantee it'll surprise you.